Arsenal fans, let's be honest, people. It was a point gained rather than 2 to 3 points dropped. We got out of jail and we were very fortunate against Manchester United. Now, I guess Manchester United's problems are that performance for Manchester United fans and them as a club, that not to overdo it because it wasn't a great game. That should a lot of what their fans have been crying and asking for all season because they're 15th, 16th. They should make that a minimum. It's easy to get up for a top six game, easy to get up for a game like Arsenal. Obviously, there's been protests. But moving it to my football club, I think we're very fortunate. I don't advocate scapegoating or any of this. Shout out to David Raya. Big up David Raya. Saved us enough times, whether you want to say poor finishes from Højlund or whatever. David Raya saved our bacon today, as he has been. Saliba, absolutely superb in particular. Declan Rice, his goal, great goal to score, great moment to score that goal. Big him up. I think Odegaard was back in tune. Not quite the best performance from Odegaard, but we need you to get going and do your thing in that regards. Gabriel, I think you did your thing as well. I'm not happy. You know, the game kind of, in many ways, it went many ways as we expected it to go. Arsenal, a bunch of possession, working it down the left, working it down the right. Manchester United living for the counter-attack, deep and low blocks, not wanting to be broken down. I feel we started the game well. I think we had a lot of possession. The majority of the game was in their half. Yes, you know, the counter attack with our high line, with us going like 2 against 2, like 2 attackers against 2 defenders. We back ourselves in a foot race. That was obviously an issue. And, you know, that kind of led to our demise on occasions, people. But it's kind of the same old bunch of possession. Didn't really work old Nana. Didn't work old Nana at any point, really and truly today. I think Odegaard's second half had a great little shot that I think I can't be sure. I think Onana tipped it over, but you know, it's the same old. We're having a bunch of possession. Once we get to the final third or the edge of the opposition's area or their box, we don't really have solutions. Yes, there's been obviously there's injuries and things like that. Happy to welcome back Martinelli. Martinelli, you're lucky you're onside. And I'm not even vexed at you for somehow skying that offside or not. There was an effort. I think Onana, apologies, ended up making a save. Now, granted, I've never been a professional footballer. Maybe me watching the game versus being on the ground as a player, you see different things. But that's why I'm on YouTube and you're a professional footballer, Gabriel Martinelli. I know you're rusty, but it's the decision making. There was a moment he went for goal. I personally feel if you're going to do that, you have to score. But you need to be squaring that for Trossard. Trossard was terrible today. I'll be real, man. I was at TalkSport watching the game. I think Trossard was horrible. You know, that great tackle, I believe, from Declan Rice, where he's got us out of jail, that's come from Trossard being nonchalant on the ball. There was several times Trossard's given away the free kick as well for what Bruno Fernandes is. If I had to criticize anything about Raya, I feel between you and the wall, it was appalling. It's another goal on the stroke of half-time as well, a bit like West Ham, which kind of sums things up, really. So, yeah, man, we saved our blushes, but we weren't good enough today. I do think the subs that came on did very well. I think Lewis Skelly did his thing. Spare thought for Raheem Sterling. I don't feel Wanyeri was terrible, but it weren't a game to be screaming and shouting about, which is expected of a young man. Merino, boy, you need to be buying Declan Rice a pint because I don't know what you was doing. Honestly, I think the second half, I think we were better in the first half. Manchester United were better in the second. I think they came out the blocks firing. You know, they all had a good performance. There was a number of clear-cut chances that I'm sure Manchester United will go back and think, "Wow, we could have, should have, and on another day would have done or attempted to do a lot better." So in many ways, it was the game expected in that Arsenal had a bunch of possession and all of that kind of stuff. But in terms of quality, it weren't really there. There were little patches where the game was opening up and things like that. But yeah, man, football's decided at both ends. Now, granted, 9 times out of 10, somebody is not going to score a free kick of that ilk from Bruno Fernandes, but this was the one time they did. So I think what the sequences of events which led to that foul, obviously the free kick and the wall and the positioning, that was an issue. I think we didn't start the second half well. I don't think it was terrible, but we was off the pace. And to be fair, you know, Manchester United, you probably have a day off because you played a game and they were betting on the Europa League. They probably need to spend, a bit like us, 5-10 minutes or even hours, you know, working on finishing because they should have scored a bunch of opportunities. You know, again, thank the Lord of all the saves. David Raya, if Joshua Zertsky, who had some good patches of play, if he scored that little flick, I would have went mad. Him, Højlund, even Bobby Collier, you know, Raya would be my man of the match if it wasn't for Declan Rice, you know, because Raya saved our bacon. But in any time, a team that's 15th place, yes, we know it's Manchester United. A team that's 15th place, if I'm saying my goalkeeper, we rocked up to your yard and my goalie's been the best player, then we've not done what we've needed to do. I think my defense generally held firm. I think Timber was good today, if I'm completely honest with you. I think Tierney had a little good cameo. I think Lewis Skelly as well. I think Calafiori didn't fill me with confidence. I think Trossard was terrible. I think literally the first couple of moments Martinelli was on the field, he did well, and then he reverted to type and shows us our issues. I think Marino did better in the first half. Second half, he was a bit of a passenger. I think Partey did need to come off, but I think Partey was all right. It was the performances of 6s out of 10s, bar the David Rayas and Declan Rices of this world. And football's decided in both ends. We should have done better for that goal. We definitely should have scored or created some chances in that first half. Whether we've got injuries or missing players or whatever, it's kind of on song with our issue. So it's probably it is 2 points dropped for Man United and a point gained for Arsenal. There was an element of luck today. We were very fortunate that we didn't lose today, in my humble opinion. Of course, a 38-game calendar, which obviously we're not at that period yet. There's some games you're going to win where you don't deserve. There's sometimes you're going to draw when you need a bit more or less. There's some you get it. You're not always going to get what your performance is preserved. So yeah, man, I mean, historical top 6 because they're 15th. It's disappointing not to win naturally. It's disappointing. I know, let's not be naive. Beating PSV 7-1 isn't gonna, bring a mad confidence. We starting creating and stuff. A lot of the issues are around coaching and personnel, whether that's bringing in people in January, the summer, or obviously players not being back fit. So yeah, man, we were very fortunate today. I feel we was quite wasteful when we did have some opportunities. I think we shot ourselves in the foot on a number of occasions, and let alone the one that led to the goal, the ones that went missing. So you need to go back to the drawing board, man. And again, this is a game where both teams, there ain't nothing to scream and shout about. As much as Man United and Arsenal fans, it's been a historical rivalry. We banter each other. It kind of is what it is. I think Manchester United fans were probably the more negative going into the game. And they'll probably be the more negative coming out of it, in a sense of they probably should have reckoned they should have got 3 points. Arsenal, I think we should have killed it in the first half. But again, we're not really creating anything of significance or doing anything. So yeah, football's decided at both ends. If you don't defend well enough, if you don't take your chances, you might not get the result you want. So yeah, man, I mean, against the historical apologies top 6 sides, we obviously we're still unbeaten in like 19 games. We dust ourselves off. You'd imagine there'll be a number of changes going into the game against PSV on midweek, and then obviously you got another game against Chelsea, who beat Leicester, did make it a struggle, but beat Leicester, bragging rights, all of that kind of stuff. So it is what it is, man. They ain't nothing to play for domestically this season. We should be talking about potentially the Chelsea game being, in my opinion, being rescheduled, because we should be in the final against it would have been against Liverpool and not Newcastle. So it is what it is in that regards, man. Smash the like button. Let me know your thoughts.
Like